Imagine for a moment that every time you touch a surface you are leaving behind a detailed map of your entire life. Most of us think of a fingerprint as nothing more than a simple ink stamp on a page or a security lock on a phone. We see a series of swirls and lines that identify who we are in a legal sense. But if we look closer we find that these lines are actually made of a complex soup of chemicals. This chemical trail is a silent language that our bodies use to speak to the world around us. Every time we touch a table or a door handle we are shedding tiny molecules that tell a story about our health and our habits. This is a very deep shift in how we understand the human body. We usually think of our skin as a barrier that keeps things out. We think of it as a wall that protects our internal organs. However, the skin is actually a highly active exchange system. It is constantly pushing out substances that our body no longer needs or things it has processed. This means that a fingerprint is not just a static image but a living chemical signature. It contains proteins and other markers that reflect what is happening deep inside our systems. When we look at a smudge on a glass we are not just seeing a mark of presence. We are seeing a chemical broadcast of our biological state. For example, researchers have discovered that the protein patterns in fingerprints can reveal basic facts like gender with a very high level of accuracy. But the implications go much further than that. The molecules we leave behind can also act as indicators for serious health conditions like cancer. This is a surface concept that challenges our traditional ideas about medicine. We often think that to understand our health we need to go to a hospital and undergo invasive tests. We expect needles and large machines and long waiting times. But what if the most important information about our health is already resting on the tips of our fingers? This leads us to a hidden assumption that we have carried for a long time. We assume that medical diagnosis must be difficult and uncomfortable. We have been taught that looking inside the body requires a physical breakthrough like a blood test or an X-ray. This assumption creates a barrier between us and our own health data. We wait until we feel sick before we seek answers. But the fingerprint tells a different story. It suggests that our bodies are constantly leaking information that could save our lives long before we feel any pain. The structural pattern here is one of continuous communication. Our bodies do not keep secrets well. Everything we eat and everything our cells produce eventually makes its way to the surface. By using advanced technology like machine learning we can start to decode these patterns. We can find specific proteins that are associated with early stages of disease. In some cases this method has proven to be even more accurate than traditional scans like mammograms. Think about the convenience and the psychological comfort of this. Instead of a stressful medical procedure, a person could simply touch a surface. This is a total reframing of how we interact with healthcare. It turns a scary event into a simple natural gesture. Let us think about how this applies to our daily lives in a broader sense. We live in a world that is becoming more and more connected through data. We track our steps and our heart rates with watches. But the chemical data in our fingerprints is much more intimate. It represents a transition from tracking what we do to understanding who we are at a cellular level. Imagine a future where your home could monitor your health through the things you touch every day. Your bathroom mirror or your kitchen counter could quietly check for changes in your protein profiles. This sounds like science fiction, but the science shows that the information is already there waiting to be read. It invites us to think about privacy in a new way as well. If our fingerprints contain our medical history, we must be careful about who has access to that information. However, the potential for good is enormous. Early detection is the most powerful tool we have against many diseases. If a simple swipe of a finger can provide a 98% accuracy rate, we are looking at a revolution in global health. This technology could reach people in remote areas where expensive machines are not available. It could make health screening a normal part of life rather than a rare and frightening event. The more we reflect on this, the more we realize that we are walking data centers. Every object we touch is a record of our journey through time. We are constantly painting our environment with the chemicals of our own existence. This constant flow of information is a reminder of how interconnected our internal and external worlds really are. We are not isolated individuals but part of a continuous loop of biological signaling. This new perspective asks us to be more aware of the invisible traces we leave behind. It encourages us to see our bodies as dynamic and communicative rather than silent and closed off. As we move forward, we will likely find even more secrets hidden in these tiny lines. We might discover markers for stress or nutrition or even mental health states. The fingertip is a window into the soul of our biology. It is a humble part of the body that we often ignore, but it holds the key to a much deeper understanding of our physical selves. We are just beginning to learn how to listen to what our skin is saying. It is a quiet conversation that has been happening since the day we were born. Now that we have the tools to hear it, we can start to change the way we live and the way we care for one another. This is not just about a new test, it is about a new relationship with ourselves. It is about recognizing that we are always expressing our truth even when we are not trying to. We should take a moment to look at our own hands and wonder about the wealth of knowledge resting there in the patterns of our sweat and the layers of our proteins. We carry our own medical records wherever we go. This is a powerful thought that brings a sense of ownership over our own well-being. It simplifies the complex and makes the invisible visible. It turns a smudge on a window into a message of hope. If every touch carries a hidden message about your health, what would you hope your own fingerprints are saying to the world right now?